Whoa! Welcome back, everybody, to Attempts at Governance. This is episode 194 and the first one of 2025, approaching episode 200. And things are revving back up after the new year. Might be a bit of a shorter episode today, but good to get our bearings and get back on the governance horse. Welcome, everybody, back to Attempts at Governance. Nice to see you all here. How's everybody's new year? Okay.
Awesome.
Nice. Looking a little hungover still. We better. Gianni, what's going on, bro? Nice to have you here. We're gonna get to token terminal Connor Daly and the Polkadot legal bounty in a second, but we're gonna start with the state of the treasury, looking pretty neutral from this time last a couple weeks ago. We are, let's see here, up 400,000 dot, which is worth about $2.9 million at today's market value, bringing the treasury to about 28.79 million dot. We're down 1.35 million USDC, bringing the treasury to 7.51 million. And we're down 450,000 USDT, bringing us to 9.06 million USDT. That's the state of the treasury. And Funky, nice to have you back. We'll throw it over to you for the state of the funk.
Thanks so much, Jay. The state of the funk is patient, admittedly. I'm excited for the new year, but we still have about 2 weeks to turn around the Connor Daly ref, and the gentlemen are here to talk about it. I feel that I'm asking the Polkadot community to really think about this ref and to understand that these big things take a lot of patience. This is a very small investment and something that is going to take time to bear out and bear fruit. And as I said in my most recent video on New Year's Day, working in enterprise, I know how long these traditional business relationships take to develop. They're not something that you're going to expect for your typical crypto brain in 3 months to have, 10x and everything else. These things are done for the medium to long term. So I'm hoping that people will really start to see that. Thanks, Jay.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks very much, Funky. Limo, I know you're just getting back on the governance horse here. Did you manage to take any break this holiday season?
I had a couple of hours, relaxing.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'd log on occasionally. I'd see you working away, and I missed it. But no referenda gone by this week. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty sick again, so I unfortunately have not done it. So sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. Sad to hear that you're getting sick again. That disease I had ended up lasting like 3 weeks or something like that. Basically the whole break. But it's nice to be healthy again. You still in Bangkok?
I am in an undisclosed location.
Ah, very good. Okay, making it all work. Well, thanks very much, Limo. Nice to have you back. And Joe, welcome to the show. We're just getting started here. How's your break?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
We just did State of the Treasury, and we have these two DCA programs going on, but isn't one going to run out pretty soon?
That's a good question. Probably yes, because it's been a long time.
Okay, okay. What do you think? Are we going to resubmit another one to keep it going, or what are your thoughts on that?
Putting me on the spot. Yeah, I mean, I think we should keep it going. Like resubmit a new one.
Cool, cool, nice. All right, well, nice to have you to the show. We're going to start rolling through. We have three refs today to discuss, all of them very important. And the first one is, we actually haven't had a lot of votes come through here. We only have, what is this, 23 million votes on the board here. This is for Connor Daly 2025 Polkadot Motorsports program, that 3.5 million in stable coins for one of our most successful and exciting and public ambassadors we've ever had, Connor Daly himself. We have him on the show, Andrew Stallings, and Chris from Learn Polkadot back. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. Ref's not going so great so far, but we do have a couple weeks to turn it around. What's going on?
Yeah, no, Happy New Year to you, Jay, and everyone else. I think let's look at this from a glass half full perspective. To your point, not a immense amount of votes coming through in comparison. And then, from our conversations that we've had with a lot of the different DVs and even some of the different DAOs, you'll notice a lot of them have abstained. And I think that there is a lot of unknowns that we're trying to very much dumb down for everyone within the community to understand. At a high level, we're being very much compared to the likes of an Inter Miami and a Heroic, and we're put in a bubble, right? And again, I think even if you take a look at our referendum, you'll see Paul Sparta, the CEO of VBrick, has gone on chain to make his own comments to provide an update about that, B2B opportunity that's beginning to take shape and unfold. That is merely one small dimension of something that we are working on and very much want to continue to work on with the right bandwidth, the right opportunity, and the right focus going into next year. Connor, again, he's a race car driver. He's an incredible spokesperson. He's a great guy who understands business as well, which I don't think we really focus enough on, that given that he is a top-tier professional athlete, continues to show up, ask questions, and be here on these AAG meetings every week. And that's, I think, somebody that, is often overlooked when you look in comparison to the kind of ambassador that you want, for these kind of opportunities. And that's something that we want to continue to put that emphasis and focus on as well. I think the last thing I'll say before, I want to hand it off to Chris today, because I know he hasn't spoken so much from just somebody who genuinely is the heartbeat of this partnership from day one. He was the one that reached out to us about this opportunity. I want to kind of turn it over to him to share some of his thoughts about stuff. But I think the last thing to say, we give so much love, respect, and appreciation for people like Ryan and Funky, but Jay, even yourself included, there's no skin in the game when we kind of look at you all and you guys are saying they're doing it. They're really putting forth the best effort. They're again, they're kind of building the road as it's being created on. It's very tough to compare us, folks, because no one else is really doing or has done for Polkadot and even Web3 agnostically that that has been done before. We know that we can continue to do it. Our focus last year was obviously getting the top of funnel strategy as solidified, like answering what is Polkadot, getting that question asked. Now we really want to build that funnel out going into year 2. So, with that, Chris, I kind of want to turn it over to you, man. If there's anything, just, with you being involved in this from day one and in the trenches from a Polkadot side, you're seeing the comment feedback, all that. I'll turn it over to you. Funky, noted on the clock.
Yeah, I won't rant too long, but the idea I had when I reached out to Connor was I think our community does a great job building some of the best technology out there to build up on. Sometimes we might do not the best job of communicating to the rest of the world on how to do so. And I think Connor and Andrew have shown or made a good example of how these sponsorships, while they all get grouped together, I was part of the Inter Miami deal as well. I think the Heroic deal is amazingly awesome. They're all, sports, esports related, but they bring a lot of different assets and open up a lot of different doors and help with the communication that I think sometimes is lacking on why Polkadot, what makes Polkadot so great? Why would you want to build up on it? I just think people should maybe open their eyes a little bit and see what sort of opportunities and stuff. There's a lot of things that have came out of these sponsorships, some of which I can't talk about yet, with the Connor deal and with the Inter Miami deal. I know people talk about tech integration a whole lot of things going on with Inter Miami, a whole lot of enterprise adoption stuff that have came out of Connor and Andrew's efforts. And one thing I didn't know is Andrew's legal firm that works with his agency has relationships with the top 30 home or family offices here in America. So from an investment point of view, these sorts of sponsorships aren't just putting logos on a car or logos on a shirt. That is one layer of it, but that was never the intent. I never thought oh, hey, let's just go take a whole bunch of money and, put it to use to put a logo on the car. The whole intent the whole time was with these partnerships was to gain adoption from an education point of view and hopefully from technical integrations to spur companies to come and build in the Polkadot world. I think that just gets overlooked a whole lot based on comments and feedbacks I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just add real quick too. I feel like Andrew, Chris, and even myself, we tried to get into the weeds too, even on X, on the Twitter. But a lot of the questions that okay, if you say this about what we're trying to do, well, then we ask them, well, then why do you want to see that? But oftentimes we won't get a response. Thankfully, there's been a lot of people who have given a response, but a lot of those responses, I feel like we've been able to actually answer quite justifiably. So there's a lot of people who seem to want to try to say this, that, and whatever. And we're like, hey, great. We love that that's being said. We want to understand why people feel the way they do. And then, I understand that this is definitely a difficult sometimes concept to get into more of the surface level. It's like, oh, it's just a race car. It's just a race car. It's like, well, that's, I don't even call it a sponsorship anymore because it's a partnership. That's like what I've always tried to develop between the business partners that I've been working with already. And like, we literally got the CEO to show up on chain and, make his own comment to be like, hey, this isn't just something that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So that's just after, not even 12 months, essentially. It's essentially like 8 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to have questions too, obviously. I think Andrew wanted to say that as well if we had time left.
Funky, you have your hand up. Let's hear what you got to say.
Just real quick, Jay, like one thing that I said, and I kind of touch on this on my video on New Year's Day, is that Connor and Andrew have been fantastic ambassadors. And what I find particularly frustrating about OpenGov at this point is how we as a community continue to say, we're going to give you some feedback. They asked for a full season, twice as much money.
Yeah.
Everybody shot it down. They came back with this, giving us the 6th prime, juiciest, most premier indie races for half the cost. And people are like, no. How many good people are we going to chase away when we continue to shut down great actors like Connor and Andrew?
Yeah. It's kind of, this isn't the only case as well where we're kind of holding ourselves back because we're not really thinking about the bigger picture here. I mean, for me, it's kind of obvious. I mean, it's a big price tag, but I just think it's totally worth it, especially where the treasury, I hope, is going over the next 24 months. We kind of would really benefit from having these, I mean, just these great sources of income and motivation and vibe and spirit kind of that comes with a deal like this. And I wish people could see it, but unfortunately, we're held back by the collective vision and the collective imagination of the DAO. Spencer, what are you thinking here?
I was just going to say, I think like in general, I think the community is probably a little burned by like shitty marketing or whatever, the perception of shitty marketing over time. I mean, I think like Connor and his team are super great. Chris is like an amazing person. I think it's, I mean, we've got what, 200 million that we're sitting on. I mean, that could be easily, twice that in another, by the time ETH Denver comes around. Like, what is $3 million in the grand scheme of things when you've got a quality team like this behind it? I mean, I just think that like people get really caught up in, we're trying to save, we're trying to conserve, but it's like,
Not the time.
I think you really need to be spending a fuck ton of money. And if you're not, strategically, of course, like not to everybody, but I think, this would be worth a shot to do another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Treasury is a $250 million today, all assets considered. Yeah. Hey, we are at time here, but Pikey, I think you're in Kustau. It looks like you're personally opposed here, but I wanted to get maybe your summary of the vibes of the greater Kustau discussion. What do you think are kind of the main points here that you've seen in Kustau?
I guess I'm a good example representing the overall voice. I think so, because as Spencer said, I guess we got burned last year by this whole marketing fiasco, right? And I guess this offer here is not an easy one to understand, because it is something which needs to unwrap, which you guys try, right, to show all the opportunities which it includes, and so on and so on. But I guess it requires a lot of trust, and I don't think the community has reached this point to trust again, especially if it's $3.5 million dollars in that case. And I do not know how to solve it, to be honest, because you guys require trust now to show on a long term it's worth investing this money. And I do not know how to gain this trust back, even though we are not responsible for the situation right now. Yeah, and that's where I think it could be A or nay. But still, yeah, I do not know you. I know you do a lot, yeah. But nevertheless, you also have your motivations where I don't think there's a lot of hidden ones, right? You really try to be transparent, but nevertheless, it's a lot of money. I know the treasury is way much bigger than that, but yeah, difficult to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Would you like to respond, please?
Yeah, just one thing to put a bow on it. Fair points. And Pikey, again, I think you have been one of the people within DAO who we probably have gone back and forth. And I know sometimes it's been testy, but I also very much appreciate the professional candor of it. It's a great example of how these open gov discussions should go. They shouldn't go off the rails like somebody that I won't mention, where I'm sure you can take a look at our referendum and see where emotion bleeds over in some of that. But one thing I will say is, I understand and I keep hearing we've been burned, we've been burned, we've been burned. For what we provided, again, this is probably where we get compared to previous stuff before we came along. This is Inter Miami, this is Heroic, this may be other things. We have a comprehensive recap report with data on our referendum and on our discussion.
Yeah.
For what we proposed, we over-delivered. We spent 6 figures of our own money, out of Connor and I's pocket, to give Polkadot 3 more races last year. So for anyone who got burned, hey, that's us. Like we got burned too. So the one thing from an argument perspective is, while it may not equivalent to what a lot of the people with the tech focused mindset think of what was the quantifiable return on this, just know that we put our money where our mouth was, and we want to continue to do it more. And listen, if this comes next time around where this gets pushed through and everyone's like, no, you guys didn't deliver. The one thing I will say is we absolutely need to do a better job of putting together milestones and KPIs that we are currently working on. And hopefully by next week's AAG, we'll have that ready to go to promote. With that, I don't know what else more that we can do. We want, when Connor and I have personally invested a lot of money into buying Polkadot and staking it. That has nothing to do with anything to do here, but we're in. Like, I signed up for Blockchain Academy. Like, I'm there. Like PBA, I'm ready to go. So, if anyone's here, questioning, you've been burned, Connor, Chris, and myself put in our applications through the ambassador program with Don Diego Sanchez and Lucy. We're trying. So I don't think you can be any fake or get burned with that when you got 3 dudes that are trying to do it. We want to learn more, period.
Great. We'll see you in the PBAX there. We're going to be signing up today as well. Hey, by the way, for some reason on Subsquare, this link to the discussion post leads to an error, but you can get it on Poke Assembly. I would just check that out, because this recap of all of the things you've achieved is in that discussion post. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming by. And let's see if we can. This is well described, Pikey. It does seem like the DAO's just a little scared to spend right now. But important to open up and see where we're going. I think we could really use a big push like this. But thanks, guys, for coming on. We'll see you next week and see if we can make any progress on this discussion. We're now going to open it up to, here's one that has turned around. And this is a very positive development, I think. Also a pretty big spend, $1 million USDT, to accelerate the growth and adoption across the entire Polkadot ecosystem with Token Terminal. Now, I'm personally been diving into the Token Terminal dashboard, got an account this week and starting to pick apart the data a bit. It's really awesome. And this new initiative to translate Polkadot into some standardized data set that's consumable by the wider industry, I think is really important. We have Robert back on the show. We also have Pavel in the house. Guys, welcome. What's going on here with Token Terminal?
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Just want to say, hope everyone has had a relaxing Christmas, New Year, and enough time with their closed ones. As mentioned here in the chat as well, we're super bullish about 2025 for the Polkadot ecosystem, and really can't wait what will happen this year, also on the DAO side. On the referendum side, I personally want to thank all the feedback we got on Discord from all the voters. And yes, ultimately that the DAO decided to vote yes. Also separately to Kus, we had a great chat with Lucky Friday, and also want to thank Lucky Friday for the support. Personally, it has been a great experience to see how open governance works. It's the first time for me. So, and we've learned certainly a lot from this. there's still a few days until the decision period ends, and a week more until the confirmation period ends. So we don't really yet know what the result will be. But anyhow, internally, we've already compiled all the feedback we got from KUS, and we'll make sure to address them. Maybe I can give a few updates that were not shared last time in this call. Gavin mentioned us in his Christmas blog post together with Parity Data, which obviously is a huge honor to us. We've already chatted with the Google Web3 and infra teams, and everyone on their side is ready to start on the dataset integration into the Web3 marketplace this quarter. Also, a separate one, if this proposal is to go through, is that we're also keen to get input from all the delegates, especially KUS, on which parachain should be included in the 20 parachain batch. And what we propose is that we maybe create a joint Telegram chat together with Parity Data, where we can compile all the feedback from all the delegates. So, not sure if there's anything else at this point. Happy to answer any questions or any comments.
That's great. Yes. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns? What would be the absolute must-have chains, do we think here?
Just Rifle and Hydra, Moonbeam, Astar. I mean, you just go down the list. Any of the big ones that are moving the needle, Peak, right? Anything that's going to be in the top 20, right? That's capturing a lot of mind share, getting a lot of usage. NeuroWeb. I mean,
NeuroWeb
like
today.
you just
Did you
pointed
see
out, Jay.
NeuroWeb today?
Yeah. I saw your post. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So anything where there's a lot of activity, I think, in the top 20, easy.
Mythical. I'm just going to show this on screen. NeuroWeb today.
I do like Robert's idea. Let's just create a group chat that we can get everybody involved and have other people chiming in. And I know we're only at the 3-minute mark, so I will say just to kind of piggyback on his comments, we met right before Christmas, and I kind of heard out Robert and talked about the Lucky Friday perspective, and we went from abstain to nay. I mean to I. So like we completely moved from a position of abstention all the way to I, because we really feel that this, again, I think philosophically we're kind of inclined to think we got to spend now, we got to make these improvements. Now is not the time for hand wringing, and something like this could really be a value add tremendously to the entire ecosystem, especially because it's going to cover all the parachains as well. So, and just getting those top 20 that are the first ones in that first build out spending, I feel like this is such a great value for the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think KUS DAO went from a nay to an I, if I remember correctly. Let me check here, 1346. And what was really cool here, and what's really cool about the whole KUS DAO situation, is because everybody's vote is public. And this is just a general tip for any person who's submitting a ref and is looking to get the support of KUS DAO, because you can see everybody who votes and how they vote. And what you can do as a submitter is you can look at who voted against, and you can look at maybe who is closest to flipping. You can engage with that person, and through that dialogue, you can possibly flip other people or get new people who haven't voted yet to come in. And this is basically what happened on this token terminal proposal. I think it was the first time we've seen it done so intentionally. And yeah, it's generally a good tip for any proposer in the future. It's not always going to work, of course, but it did work here. Yeah. What do we got here? This is a 70% I. Yeah, 70% I in KUS DAO now. It was awesome to see. Cool. Any other comments or questions on this one?
I could add to Ryan's comment that we can also use as an indicator the existing data we have from the basic metrics for each of the parachains. So we could use a combination of transaction counts, active addresses to see basically the leaderboards, the data we currently show, where we can see which parachains have the most activity. That's I think a good shortlist. Then there can be a lot more nuance as well on which ones to include.
Yeah, I mean, even the parity data .lake dashboard just shows us the top. That's cool. What Oh, Robert, if this passes, what's the timeline look like? Like how quickly do we have these new parachains onboarded? What does it look like over the next 2 quarters or so?
Yes, so basically the day one thing that we start doing is moving a lot of the existing basic sort of existing parachain metrics to Google Web3 Marketplace, and simultaneously we start doing the research for the standardization work. So officially it's the first quarter would be a lot of the Web3 Marketplace work, which allows also other data providers to access that data for free and start incorporating that in their data sets. And in Q2, it's where we have the standardized data also in the Google Web3 Marketplace, but also in the on the TT API and web service. So Q1 and Q2 is most of the integration work. And after that, there's rest of the year, Q3, Q4 is maintaining the data, being sure that we can go also deeper to each of the parachains and start building custom dashboards.
Cool. Oh, and that reminds me, by the end of Q2, we expect to see the Polkadot hub, that multi-core EVM compatible hub. So I guess we would have a separate data set for that too, maybe.
All the new data points that are in the existing ones are also included in the maintenance one. So it's any new upgrades, anything like I can just give an example from other ecosystem. There might be a new upgrade, some data points change. We're going to include every single one of those. So yeah,
Cool.
included.
All right, Robert. Well, congrats on the turnaround, and let's see if it holds. But thanks for coming on. And what's that, Pavla?
And just a comment that there's also like trending contracts data set on token terminal where we can see then after the smart contracts are deployed, the trending contracts on Asset Cup.
Okay, that's awesome. Great. All right, guys. Thanks very much for coming on. We'll see how it goes by this time next week. Moving on to Ref 1359, the Polkadot legal bounty. Took a while for this idea to really spread in the community, for people to understand it. But now we're sitting at 99.9% in favor. I think we probably have a bunch of abstains. Let's see here. 3 of the DVs abstaining right now. And no DVs on the nay side, a couple on the I side, including Kustow and Saxonburg. We have Rod and Gianni back on the show, guys. Welcome. What's the story here?
Hello, Jay.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for everyone who voted and asked questions to help us to make it clear what the bounty is about. And of course, we are very grateful for everyone who supported us.
Great stuff. Do you what's the plan now? This looks like it's going to be entering confirmation in 10 days. So about 2 weeks from today, the funds will be, oh no, not the funds, but the bounty will be enabled. And then we have to apply for the funds. Because it's such an overwhelming support at this point, are you guys going to start that ref to bring the funds in early, or are we going to play it safe and wait for this one to close?
It's done when it's done. So once we know that it starts, we will be ready and happy to support everyone who needs our help or needs just legal help.
Any details on the timeline there, Ra?
Yeah, so I mean, if everything stays as it is and it passes, I think we will just then set the curator referendum and anything that comes after. So we want to get this started as soon as possible once we have the funds, because I think there's quite some interest already in this, not only from people asking questions what the bounty is actually all about, but also from actually people getting legal support. So we want to be ready as soon as possible. We hope it passes, stays as it is, and thanks to everyone who voted. And we're of course always happy to answer further questions.
Now we have Lorena's hand up, and looks like she's on the nay side here. Lorena, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a legal professional yourself, are you not?
Yes, I'm a lawyer.
You're a lawyer, yeah.
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm a lawyer, and I really I have some concern about this bounty. My main concern it's about not main concern. I have two different concerns related with the bounty, and the other point is related with the curators. Okay, related with the bounty, is I'm very concerned about having a bounty to provide. Even the bounty will be a intermediate, a legal support. Okay, for projects. As it different things. The bounty is not only for given support, but temporary and many things that for me it's okay. But one point that for me is a very red flag is have one single point of contact, okay, related with legal. Only one lawyer, not lawyer, but one legal, only one legal firm that provide with other lawyers or with other firms all around the world the services, okay? And the bounty will be the point of contact with this legal firm that will provide other services. For me, the bounty is not, that is not the objective of a bounty, okay? And the contingency for the Polkadot ecosystem could be very, very big. Another point that I mentioned in my comments in Subsquare was related with the if we have a legal bounty, should be lawyered, okay, as a curator, and not only lawyers on Switzerland, okay, because the point of contact is a law firm in Switzerland. It's not clear. I consider that we have projects for all around the world, and we discussed this in the Coded with different lawyers related the idea of having this bounty or something like that. And my concern was what difficult we could have or related with corruption and other problems. Sorry, I have to say that. Or different thing that we should avoid. And for me, each project should have his own lawyers, okay? And lawyer could, and the bounty maybe could support the lawyers of each bounty and not provide lawyers, okay? Another thing is the focus on Europe, but we have this bias related with have everything in Europe, and we have many projects, and that's saying that we have different law and different regulation all around the world, and each country has his own law, so we should focus in Polkadot in this thing, and I don't see that these bounties is focused there. Another point is related the cost of services, because every service will be include the cost of this, in addition of the curator, the cost of this Switzerland law firm, and the cost of each law that will be participate. So we have duplicate or triplicate, I don't know in English, the cost. And the other thing is the curator should be lawyers, okay? How can a curator could curate a invoice or could curate the work done if they are not lawyers? So for me, these are different points that are, in my opinion, a very red flag. So this is my point. Sorry, I suppose I'm the only token holder that I'm again of this proposal, but this organization is not. I not agree with this. Okay, for me the contingency for Polkadot is very big, and and I want to avoid this.
Okay. All right. So we've put up the answers to your concerns from the comment on the screen here, so people can track the discourse there. Let's move on to Robert. Robert, what are you thinking about this? Welcome back.
Hi. Yeah, I just actually wanted to share that these concerns in my mind have been answered by the comment from Fork there. So maybe if you could take that into account in your take there, because I think what you just shared is not taking that into account. especially with I think having a single point of contact here is great, as they've already described. It's there to facilitate that the appropriate teams all around the globe are used for this. Of course, the rules are different, like in different countries. And this is not about like having one place that then decides this globally, but for finding the appropriate legal institution for helping a team wherever they are based.
Pikey, I saw your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
Not sure. I just got the thought when I heard you speaking. Sorry, Plokia, I do not remember your name. Sorry. When I heard you that we maybe
Lorena,
get too much.
yes, sorry.
Lorena, I'm sorry very much. But I meant just not get lost in details. Not sure how we can iterate through this bound, if we can adjust it later on, but there are many things to discuss. And when I saw it, I just, I was thinking maybe I give it an A. So let's just rolling and make it better by time, etc. before we inane it completely, because we don't have much lawyers in the ecosystem. So this was a comment I've seen in Kustau. We have not that much lawyers in the ecosystem who can actually provide such a service right now. So we even could have 4, 5, 6 curators being lawyers, except you, of course, and the person who has proposed this. So let's just get started. That's what I wanted to say at the end. Not get lost in details. Let's figure it out by time.
Yeah, that's a good point, and a good strategy for making things happen as well is to just get rolling and iterate, as you say, as we go. Will these services be available to Kustau when we inevitably cross some international legal boundaries and end up on most wanted lists, or is this more just for parachain projects, or kind of what's the scope of the projects that will be served by this?
The short answer is everyone that is eligible, that is, it's for the benefit of the Polkadot ecosystem, like protocol builders and so on. It could also be Parity, Web3 Foundation, if they would like to. Maybe just a short answer to you, Lorena. Its corruption index in Switzerland is very low. And the other thing is, look, it's not easy as a startup to get a good law firm. And that's where we would like to step in. In the United States, in Switzerland, in Germany, in the UK, and so on, lawyers are very expensive. And if you come a startup and you do not have a big funding, it's quite hard to get a good law firm. And the problem is, once that you get successful, and then you think, oh, why haven't I thought about this, and so on. And that's we would like to step in. It's a couple of hours for every startup. It's not, you're not bound for always with the lawyer. You're still free to get your own lawyer. I have been working for more than 20 years, almost 25 years as a general counsel. So I know how to find the right law firm, who can provide which service, that everything is on a legal basis, and so on. I hope this helps a little bit. And maybe very short to the curators. We think that common sense helps. For an NDA, you do not need 100 hours, and I guess a curator will see this very, very, very fast and quick. And that's why I think that if you have an idea what the service is, that you also can say the invoice makes sense or not.
All right. Thank you, Gianni. Nice to have you guys back on the show. You know, with all this this privacy talk on Kusama, this might be an exercise of this bounty as well, possibly. I would encourage everybody to tune in to this Monday's AAG show, where we'll talk a little bit more about privacy and some ways to move forward there. But anyway, for now, guys, thanks for coming on, and congrats on the success so far.
Thank you,
Thank
Jay.
you very much. Thanks.
Well, with governance still revving up from its holiday idle, we are done with presentations for today, but there's a few refs that are still on the go. We were speaking about last year, which we can check in on now. And if anybody on the panel has some refs they'd like to discuss, please do put your hand up and we can dive right in. But one of the projects that has been, well, we talked about that success earlier, Pikey, in Kustau with the token terminal. Here's an example of a project that actually managed to move the Kustau from a nay to an abstain and then burned it right back to a nay. This is Prestel Partners Family Office and Investor Conference Series for Polkadot, 185,000 USDC from Harbor Industrial Capital. This was unfortunate to see because our last AAG I threw my support behind it, but I don't know what happened here, Pikey. Can you describe what happened here from you know?
I'm not sure I want to touch it, to be honest.
Okay.
Was very happy that this discussion is done. I guess we lost somehow the whole reason about what we're talking. What do I mean by that? It got really emotional from my perspective, and the person who discussed it maybe lost the point them in the middle of those discussions, and it was more blaming than really working on a consensus between all parties, and that's really a pity because I still think the idea is good. But what I didn't understand was why it's not possible delivering what was expected by the event bounty, to be honest, and making it transparent, and why not scaling down to one event or two events, or making it still more transparent why maybe they need two events, and because scale of cost, etc. But all those things got lost in the last few days and weeks with personal things and blaming. To be honest, it wasn't really professional, from my perspective. Okay, no offense.
No, and anybody can go into Kustau and check that out. Yeah, like I said in that chat, from my point of view, it's just been a rocky relationship. This is a relationship that honestly should be a win. We have this organization with a proven track record of getting family offices to invest in Polkadot projects, wanting support from the Polkadot treasury to get more investment. Kind of makes sense to me. But then we've just had this weird how do you say, like bullheadedness, like stubborn approach to the treasury where it's like, we want $1 million, the treasury says no. We want $1 million, the treasury said no again, and then a third time they said no. Then they go to the events bounty, and the events bounty requests something specific, even if it costs a little more in up front to just do one event. But again, they deny the events bounty and come in with this 185,000 request, and right now sitting just over 40% in favor. So that was tough to see. Yeah, Funkatron.
Hey, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to chime in on this too, because obviously there was some heated discussion involved on Good Friday this part as well. And I was personally, I thought, okay, they've taken a lot of feedback. They've come back with a smaller ask.
Yep.
And the way I framed it internally on Slack was, I said, they're only asking for 185K. And one of my colleagues just wrote back, only. And very similar kind of response, that thought it should be a one-off event as a proof of concept. For 25K, you could have a very nice dinner, get a lot of important family offices there. And especially in a major city, right? Like if you did it in New York or London or someplace like that, like I know they had some success in Riyadh, which I think was good. It was telling. But yeah, I think it's just that emotions kind of get out of hand, and then people react to that, as Mikey said, lack of professionalism.
Yeah, it's like these are people who are representing Polkadot, and we kind of expect a sort of decorum that we'd be proud of when it comes to representing us. Angela, welcome to the show, Angela. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you. So I was just thinking back of the envelope, if it's $185,000 and if you hired someone to raise capital for you, and the you here is the general Polkadot community and all of the different funds and all the different, kind of entities that might be raising capital, you would typically pay 2% one time because you'd pay the management fee up front, right, to somebody to raise capital for you. So $185,000 implies we raise about $9.25 million. Can we do that? No brainer, in my view. We can, you know what I mean? Like the whole community together, could we use these conferences to raise 9.2? I think we could raise 10 times that. So to me, it's just a no-brainer if you look at it relative to hiring someone to raise capital for a fund versus this hiring to raise money for a whole community, plus the representative value, plus. There's a lot of pluses here.
Yeah, thanks for that insight. Totally. I hope Harbor Industrial can maybe put another negotiator forward, somebody else to forge a lasting relationship with the Treasury and make this work. But seems like with how much time do we have left here? 1 day, 16 hours remaining. This is sitting at 42%. Anything can happen, of course, but that's the state of Ref Leet. 1337. All right, we also have this critical runtime upgrade to prevent further exploitation. This is the parallel finance situation. I don't know if the investigations have gone any further into really who's responsible for this or what's going on. But right now, at least to put an end to the bleeding, we have 97.9% in favor of this root track ref. That's going to enter confirmation, not for 24 days. But yeah, that's what's going on there. I guess people are satisfied enough to put forth this ref now. Remy's wish for change for the Polkadot branding guideline. This is going really well, 86.2%. We do have him on the show. Remy, did you want to say anything about this?
Hey Jay, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I thought I'd just jump on, maybe answer some questions if anyone had any. But yeah, no, the rest seems to be going great. And I'm just, I have been out of office, but I'm sort of taking the time this evening to go through the comments and sort of some of the concerns that people have had, and should reply to everyone on the thread on the referendum 1350 later today. But maybe just something to add. This wish for change, people one question that people had was the enforceability of it. I guess that's a very valid question, and I think something to remember that this is more of trying to set a standard and precedent, and we're going to help work with, I would say the DAOs, the DVs, everyone in the community going forward to help try and enforce this and create a standard. And I think it's important to have this. It starts a discussion, and it's I guess a stepping stone to something that can develop further. But yeah, I guess if there's any other questions or sort of concerns that anyone had, I'm happy to answer them now here. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to provide any of the feedback as well into the referendum 1350 later today.
Cool. Seems to be going well. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'm just curious, what was the impetus that made you actually go through all the trouble of putting up a wish for change here?
To be honest, I think I've been in the ecosystem long enough now to see that when you've been in the ecosystem a while, you start to notice certain things. And something that's always been in the back of my mind was teams and projects that have come to the treasury and just they've requested money. They've requested the DAO's holders. And when you're fully invested, when you're a token holder and you get involved in governance, it can sometimes seem like, a kick in the teeth. When a team comes, they take the money, and then at the end of the day, there's no representation of the users' funds. Because at the end of the day, the treasury is the people's money. And they have a right to vote, they have a right to see it. And if someone is requesting funding for it from the treasury, they deserve to see that their DAO, Polkadot, be represented in their way. And I did some of my own research. I collected a list of teams that had, obviously I won't share it just because, just for the sake of it, just to sort of do some personal research myself to see a list of teams that had gone to the treasury, requested funding, but had no mention of Polkadot. And this was something that was quite shocking to me, to realize that there was a number of teams that have either listed Polkadot in some way or have completely ignored it, or have even, there was a few teams that have even listed, OpenGov as being funded by, but no mention of Polkadot. So I guess it was just a way to sort of clarify things. And if you look at other competitors, you see people always say like, funded by Solana, for example, or funded by the Ethereum Foundation. But again, no mention of Polkadot. It seems a bit, I would say, fractionalized. And it's just one step closer to try and unify the ecosystem and bring people in to know that, we have a whole range of products and people building on Polkadot, but no one really knows that yet. And when people, the go-to argument for people is, and every time I say I work with a lot of in the Polkadot ecosystem, a lot of people come back to me and say, but who's building on Polkadot? And it's always the one, tricky question to answer, because I'm saying, well, there's loads, but it's not clear to the wider public. And hopefully this can open a few eyes to people who are, from other ecosystems as well, to realize that there are really good teams and projects building on Polkadot. It just needs to be a bit more aware, a bit more seen.
Cool. Well, awesome stuff. And thanks for doing that.
No worries.
Funky.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on this too, because I do applaud Remy for taking the initiative. I really think this is a smart move, and it's the bare minimum we can ask. And one of the things that was being discussed, for instance, in the PDA chat was just the announcement of the punching game. And, this is something where a lot of people don't realize the underlying infrastructure is Polkadot, and this is something that we should just capitalize on by quote tweeting those kinds of announcements from the teams that are building on Polkadot, just to bring that additional awareness that these things are happening here. And it's only possible because of our tech staff, which is amazing. And I think as long as we continue to beat that drum, it's going to get a lot of mention, a lot of notice from other eyes, especially outside the ecosystem.
Good stuff. Yeah, Lee.
Hey, yeah, we spoke about this last time, right? Some teams, they might have their own strategy to not mention Polkadot, but in those cases, those teams are not applying for treasury money. This is related to people that are requesting, or teams that are requesting money from the treasury, that they should have some affiliation to Polkadot on their website and stuff. I think one of the near voters, I closed the tab, but said that we shouldn't force people to include Polkadot in their branding and stuff on the website. I would disagree with that. If you're going for treasury money, I think you probably should mention Polkadot somewhere.
Sounds all right. Okay, well, this is flying through. Confirmation in 7 days, and then just a 1-day confirmation after that. Remy, thanks for coming on the show. We'll see how it's going next week, eh?
Thank you very much. And thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Limo, for chiming in. Really appreciate the comments.
Hey, a few new refs that have hit the dashboard here. This was during the break. A bunch having to do with bounties, and it's kind of interesting to see how we're becoming more and more focused on managing bounties now instead of managing direct. One is a ref by Saxonburg who's looking to close Bounty 27. This was originally proposed by Jixie, who is part of the Interlay team. Yeah, Interlay team. And this was a assets on-ramp program. I can't remember who the provider was, but they were working with, oh, I can't remember, unfortunately. But some on-ramp, what's that, Lee?
It was Banksa.
Yeah, Banksa, yeah. So look at this. We have 65.91 thousand dots sitting in this bounty. It's like a sub account. We have the main treasury account, and then bounties are like sub accounts with special access granted by the curators. So we got 65.91 thousand dot, and this ref is essentially to bring that close the bounty and bring that dot back home to the main treasury. So far enjoying almost 100% in favor. Lee, did DV have access on the treasury track or no?
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
treasury
Lee.
track that do.
Okay.
Yeah, I would personally support this. The scope of this bounty, the on-off front bounty, is kind of absorbed by the DeFi and infrastructure bounty now. And yeah, I think it's pretty inactive. The one that's proposed being closed. So I would support this definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Another bounty related ref that went up. This is to top up the moderation team bounty. So 27.33 thousand dot for the mod team. Most interesting here is looks like they're going to be working under a marketing bounty strategy, not funded by the marketing bounty. They have their own management here under the moderation bounty, but looks like there's some synergies happening with a marketing strategy there, so that's pretty cool. This is, yeah, just under $200,000 worth of dot to get them on their way. Currently 100% in favor, but I think only one DV on the charts here. Yeah, only Saxonburg voting in favor so far. I think we're eyeing Kustau though. How's Chaos DAO looking, Lee?
I currently have no idea.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry I put you on the spot there, but I think it's probably going all right. We can check on that. And finally, this is a proposal to assign new curators to the public RPC bounty. Funky, I think you had a State of the Funk that was a little distressed or something, or frustrated a few weeks ago. And this is looking to amend that situation and get it back on track. Yeah, Lee. Or sorry,
Yeah,
Funky.
no.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, yes. I mean, everything seems to be squared away. Lebo did point out to me that he and Ben did sign the extrinsic to renew the bounty. So it was the other curators that had let that fall through. But water under the bridge at this point. Seems like everything is going. And the curators who were in this, so I think Pikey had a question. Maybe I saw Kustau or something like that. It's Coin Studio. It's really good operators who have been in the ecosystem supporting for a long time.
Yeah.
And so the new curators are already at work. I'm sure Lee could tell you more, chat in, but
Awesome. Yeah, Lee.
Yes, I'd support this. Basically, there was a multi-sig call to extend the duration of the bounty previously. It was signed by me and Ben, but this was at like the same time as Sub-Zero and everything. So I guess it just fell by the wayside. But we could do with having curators that can assign more time to it, I suppose. So yeah, I definitely support this change of curators.
Cool. All right, and then these last two refs on the go that I wanted to mention, both kind of have a commonality where they're great services we rely on the ecosystem, but the only providers of this service. And in both discussions, we're having questions about price, and we're kind of back in the situation where it's difficult to negotiate on price when we only have one service provider. But here they are. One is OG Tracker. This is for their services throughout the year of 2026. Honestly, a great service, great website. We reference it all the time. I love getting tagged in Chaos DAO whenever there's a red flag, a ref that didn't end up following through, and we can kind of keep track of who's letting us down. But this is OG Tracker Service, 604.4 thousand USDC for their service this year. So far, 99% in favor. But like I said, I think it was Saxenberg in here who's bringing up, maybe I saw it on Twitter, where we can't really get the price down because they're the only ones doing it. The other one is Subscan. This is Q3 and Q4. Now, 163,500 USDT for the 2 quarters of services here. We've been talking about this for a long time, Limo, getting some other block explorers in the mix here. But so far, I think we funded a few last quarter, but so far, no competition yet. Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, somebody in some chat raised a concern about the pricing compared to like AWS or Hetzner. It seems a bit expensive, but like you said, and like we've been saying for over a year now, when you're basically the monopoly, you can kind of set the price how you want it to be, which kind of sucks. But I think we did pay some teams to make like indexes and block explorers recently, so it'd be interesting to know the status of those projects.
Yeah, including who copies Helicon Labs. They make great apps, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But for now, 163,000 for a couple quarters of Subscan. Looks like we're going to have to take that. Now, before I move to refs that are confirming right now, does anybody else in the panel have something they wanted to discuss before we wrap up the show? All good and super to have you all here. We do have 4 refs confirming right now. This one I'm really happy to see, Polkadot Africa community growth, starting with those 4 regions in this great, huge continent with tons of potential. 92,880 USDT for them, 77.3% in favor, and just finishing that confirmation on the small spender track. Congratulations to them. We also have the Incubator 2.0. This is the final attempt to bring Ink into all of its glory that we've been hearing about for years and years. This is a new, fresh curator set for bounty number 19. Halfway through the confirmation period now, 99.2% of voting power in favor of giving Ink one last big go. We have the maintenance of the Substrate API client from January to June. This is looking forward. So January to June of this year, 33,200 USDT for that, 99.9% in favor. And another, this one 100% in favor. This is ratifying the disgraceful Coos ref that did pass at the end of last year. Unfortunately, I put the wrong address in for the beneficiary, but this one is looking to make that right. We really appreciate all the voting power that came in here. 64.19 million DOT on the I side helped get this through. Yeah, this is great. Within under 20 days on the medium spender track. So really appreciate everybody's contributions and help there. All right, I guess that's it. We have a absolutely massive year coming up on the Kusamari, and everything you've grown to expect and love from us, plus a lot more. We are developing right now a monthly Polkadot Head Ambassador show with Lucy and Don Diego Sanchez hosting. And that's going to be really great. That's going to be every second Wednesday, I think, of the month, which is going to be fantastic. And we've been hinting it for a bit. Don't want to talk too much about it now, but Parity Tech has a weekly show about regulations and what do they call it? The regulatory roundup. We're going to be making that public, opening it up to everybody. That's going to be a weekly show on every Tuesday. So you're going to have 2 AAGs a week, a regulatory roundup every week, and the monthly Open Dev show, the monthly Head Ambassador show, a lot more platforms to show off the great members of the .DAO. And that's going to be starting in February. Also, just getting word today that maybe we're going to have a little live show on the official launch of the DKG V8 with Origin Trail and NeuroWeb. Again, good to check out their dashboards and see kind of where that project is going with the new V8 upgrade. Lots of muscle behind that one, but should be great. Tune in this week to Space Monkeys, where we have a special episode with Kian talking about his work with Parity and the Fellowship, as well as their Jam implementation. Want to thank everybody for being on the show today, and we'll be back on Monday where we're going to be diving more into this privacy vision. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you very soon.